Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Like and subscribe.
Is focused on touching on each of the chakras or our energy centers that is often associated with yoga and meditation. These energy centers represent places in the body where where we can often build resistance or find ourselves kind of having things pool there. And so it's nice to every now and again focus our attention on them and see what comes of it. It also is a good way to scan the body at the same time. So we did double duty with that. We started with the breath because it was going to be the tool that we used. The breath represents our prana, our energy source that moves into these spaces and kind of charges them up. That and our attention, when held together, kind of brings about whatever happens to be lying dormant. And so we started with the breath in, pulling the breath up the front of the body, letting it flow down the back of the body, and just getting used to that kind of a use of imagination and breath as we started off practice today. And then we built upon that by moving through each center of the body, up the front, and then obviously down the back. And once we reached the top, the crown of the head, we kind of gave us an opportunity to integrate them all and gave you space to sit with and notice how your body was today in its totality. And yeah, that's how we spent the practice, the majority of it. And then I asked you for a little bit of gratitude, and that brought us to a close and completed practice today. So I will pause there for any questions or comments. Welcome to the Sit, Walk, Work podcast, a show about paying attention. My name is Dominic and I'm your host, and today is a guided meditation. And what you can expect is that the practice will open up with a brief recap, followed by the actual practice itself. If you find today's episode valuable, please share with your friends and family, and feel free to leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. The show will begin after the following chimes. Who are joining us for the first time, make sure you're putting yourself in a comfortable position. Because we're not going to be moving for the next 30 minutes, I want you to be as comfortable and as still as you can. So you can do that lying down. You can do that seated in any comfortable seat that works for you and your body today, depending on what's going on with yourself. And for everybody else who's joined us and played this game before, you probably have a way to make yourself comfortable. So please kind of settle into that. For all of us, I'd like for us to take a nice breath in, make sure that our breathing is not compromised, since that's such a critical part of what we're doing around here. I need you to be able to breathe smoothly and evenly with each inhale and each exhale. So maybe take a couple breaths and notice if there's any restrictions, and if you need to change your posture to accommodate those restrictions, I encourage you to do so. Glad to see you all here today, and feel like we're going to have a great practice. Just so I can set the landscape for folks in the room, I will be providing you with a series of prompts, guiding you through various touch points within the body, the breath, the mind, and then giving you a bit of silence and space to sit with those things and work with those things as a part of the practice. So yeah, you'll encounter some silence. You'll hear my voice guiding you along as well. And so, I think that'll kind of help give you a little lay of the land. So with a good posture and a good ability to breathe, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and close your eyes. When you close the eyes, we turn the attention inwards, and it kind of helps us to direct our focus towards what's happening in the body and with the breath. Oftentimes people think meditation is geared towards wanting your thoughts to stop or make them go away. I like to encourage folks that we are building a better relationship with what's happening in our mind and in our body. And part of that relationship is taking on this attitude of having a neutral witness, meaning whatever comes up in this practice, whatever you notice and feel, you try to notice and feel it in a kind, non judgmental way. Not always easy to do, but it is strongly encouraged so that over time, you become less reactive to the things that you experience and you can be a little more um, intentional about your outcomes and how you want things to be. And so that's what we're trying to cultivate today. So the first thing I'll ask you to notice is from a very wide perspective. Notice how your body feels. Notice how you're breathing today. Notice your mind, if it's racing, if it's focused on a series of thoughts, kind of where it is. It might be all over the place, especially this early on in practice. And it's as if you're just kind of letting your attention ping to whatever wants it the most. Right? Maybe your mind's a little quiet today, but your body's stiff and achy, or you feel a little tired overall. We're simply acknowledging and being aware of that. Tonight's meditation is going to guide us through the body, touching points on each one of the chakras along the way, and give us an opportunity to kind of focus our attention within the body in that way. Now, I'd like for you to begin to narrow your focus a little bit. And instead of noticing everything that's kind of happening and moving and all the things that are going on, I want you to begin to see if you can hold your attention with your breath, feeling the breath move in and feeling the breath move out. Being really curious about how you're taking each breath. Notice if you're breathing through the nose or maybe through the mouth with each inhale. Maybe notice the quantity of air you're taking in with each breath. Notice when your breath is full, when you've had enough, and what it feels like to exhale and let go before the next breath starts again. When we're holding our focus in meditation, we often find that our attention gets distracted. You might find that you get lost in a series of thoughts, or maybe you're lost in a sensation or something that you feel, or something catches your ear, but you're not with the breath. You've stepped away from it. When we find those moments occurring, we gently walk ourselves back to what we were focusing on. The simpler, the better. The less of an affair it is. We just return back to following the breath in this case. We can begin to combine this focus of attention on the breath with the movement of the breath. So I want you to begin to imagine that with your next inhale, the breath starts at the base of the spine, comes up the front of the body, all the way to the crown of your head as you breathe in. So it's one long inhale up the front of the body. Then as you breathe out, it's as if the breath moves down the spine, back to the base of the spine on the exhale, creating this kind of circular motion, letting your imagination and your breath kind of work in concert together. Feeling the flow of the breath move up the front of the body and down the spine, down the back. Letting yourself slip into your own rhythm of following the breath in this way. In this way, we use the breath and we use the attention to kind of focus and notice various parts of the body when we do our body scan. And the way we're going to start the scan is we're going to start from the base of the spine and move our way up, just the way that you're following your breath. So now begin to let your attention start to rest at the base of your spine. This is where your root chakra lives. It's associated with the color red. So you can even visualize or imagine that with each breath in, you're breathing into the base of your spine, maybe visualizing the color red and allowing that color to expand with each inhale and each exhale. The root chakra reminds us and is associated with our ability to feel grounded and supported. So see if you can sense that as you breathe into this space and allow your breath and imagination to rest here. Noticing any tension or resistance, or if it feels good to kind of rest in this grounded nature of yourself. And it's always good to have a foundation to work from as we move up the front of the body. Now, allowing our attention to shift and move to your lower abdomen, just below the belly button. This brings us into what we call our sacral chakra, represented by the color orange, influenced by the water element here. It represents fluidity and movement. As you breathe into this space and you feel the resistance here, notice what else is present. in the body and what's coming up in the mind. It's the combination of attention and breath that lets our energy kind of circulate in these spaces. You might also notice that as you pay attention to this part of the body that you still feel the grounded nature of your root chakra. All of these things are simultaneously happening. Begin to allow your attention to shift and move now to the space just below the ribs, your upper abdomen area, into what we call your solar plexus. You might notice that as we begin to move up the line, we start to touch on the subtler and subtler parts of ourselves. This particular chakra is represented by yellow as its color. Breathing into the space, using your imagination to visualize the color, allowing a rhythm to form. This energy space is represented by the element of fire, the passion, the things that ignite us, that gives us the energy to fulfill our purpose and our meaning. It can be good to notice and observe which energy spaces feel a bit easier to work with than others, that come a little more naturally. All of these are kind of breadcrumbs and clues to various parts of ourselves that might need our attention. Even as we make this journey up the front of the body and the mind starts to wander or gets lost in a place, gently guide it back. Allowing your attention to continue moving up to the center of your chest, to the space of your heart. Here in the heart space, it represents your heart chakra. Here you can visualize a soft green light that moves through with the energy of the breath as you breathe into the space of the heart. Represented by the air element, this space is where our compassion, our kindness, our generosities merges and kind of sources from. Each in breath here to the heart is an opportunity to connect to your natural kindness. And then each exhale, you can imagine that that kindness is reciprocated outwardly. Allowing your attention and your breath to move to the space of your throat, the space that represents your communication and your authentic expression, the space where you can get in touch with speaking your truth and listening well, communicating well with yourself. Breathing in, holding the attention here. This space is represented by the color blue and the element of space. It is also marked by the subtle nature change. From here onwards, we get into the more subtle parts of our body, the places that don't often get our attention, and therefore may be a little more challenging to connect with. Bringing the breath up and the attention to the space between your eyebrows. We come to our third eye chakra, the space of our intuition, of our deepest knowing here, represented by the color indigo. Breathing into this space, holding our attention here. And finally, we bring our attention to rest at the crown of our head for our crown chakra. And this is kind of the point where everything kind of converges here, represented often by a white light. This is the space that extends us beyond ourselves. And one of the most subtlest places to sense and feel. Having touched or focused our attention on each section of the body, I invite you now to widen the attention. Notice all the sensations of the body as a whole. Still continue breathing up the front of the body. Now hitting each point of the chakra along the way, exhaling down the spine and repeating the process. In this way, the colors of the chakras can blend, the energies flow together, and they're all connected by each breath you take. Noticing if there's any one place in the body that wants your attention more than others, and simply allow it to rest there, to be there. And allowing our attention to rest in a single point, we minimize the resistance that often accompanies our day. This time in your practice is about being with the nature of things just as they are, not shaping them or fighting them or resisting them, but simply seeing them and learning that seeing them is often enough. As we begin to close out practice today, give yourself a bit of what we call an inner smile, a little bit of gratitude for showing up. For some of us, this was our first class today, maybe our first meditation or a return back to a practice from before. But it's worth noting that for you or for anyone that showed up today, whether it's your first or your 100th time, the work doesn't happen if you don't show up. And that is enough. Because if you showed up once, then you're poised to show up again. And by continuing to work, you continue to learn. And by continuing to learn, we continue to grow. As we close out practice, may the merit that we gain through this practice swiftly bring all beings to the realization of their true nature. And through that blessing, may all beings, without one exception, be liberated. Slowly blink the eyes open, wiggle the hands, start to bring the world back in. Notice how that practice landed for you. Take that in.
That's the beauty of it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I invite you to check out my Substack, where we are building a community of like-minded individuals to discuss all topics related to the idea of paying attention. I hope to see you there. But until then, with metta, may you be well.
Like and subscribe.